So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. I've been in between worlds and dimensions, just taking in a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, and I'm talking low because I don't want to wake up my friend, but it's a lot of things going on in the world as usual. And forgive me, I'm in a very good space right now. Um, I'm kind of in a euphoric type of state right now. No weed, no alcohol, just meditation, you know, just meditation and withdrawing into self. And the more and more I explore myself, the more and more I find out new and interesting things about me as a spiritual being having a human experience. And I'm not going to share, all of my personal, business. But going into and withdrawing into self, it's really giving me a an understanding of why I am the way that I am. And when you put effort into going within, you will discover those things too. Forget what people tell you about you. Forget what you think about you. You have to go within to see it for yourself, right? And it's a whole lot of stuff that's going on in the world. Let me say this at the beginning. I want to give a shout out to the late great Andrea Evans, who played Tina Lord Roberts, the great Tina Lord Roberts on One Life to Live. She was a talent. She was the it girl of the 80s. She passed away at the young age of 66 a few days ago due to breast cancer. It's so interesting how a lot of women are getting breast cancer now and dying from cancer now. Especially, it seems like a lot of white women are now succumbing to a lot of breast cancer. Not saying that it wasn't happening before, but it seems like it's happening more than it should in an age where we're supposed to have advanced technology, you know. But it just makes you wonder about things. It makes you wonder what is going on within the quantum realm with these individuals. This is what I do. I'm the occult view. So I wanted to give a homegoing shout out to Andrea Evans, who entertained us for many years as the scheming, manipulative Tina Lord Roberts on One Life to Live. And Tina was a motherfucker. She was a motherfucker. She will go down in history as one of the most infamous villains in television history. So rest in peace, Andrea Evans, or rest in power, because I liked her. I liked Andrea Evans. But I've been listening to a lot of different perspectives on spirituality and God, and I've been hearing a lot of information, and I'm trying to take a lot of it in, you know. And I'm usually good at, what is that? Okay. I'm usually good at really scoping out a person's character. I'm usually good at that. And what I'm beginning to, and this is me, I'm coming to this realization. Maybe others have come to it before me, and that's fine. No judgment. Everyone comes to their realizations whenever they come to them, you know. But I'm really beginning to rethink some of my prior beliefs or knowing as it pertains to Caucasian people. Because we live in a world that is built on deception, victimization, um, no progress, hatred, bigotry, disrespect for divine energies, masculine and feminine, but mainly the feminine energy. We live in a world of lies, and that's just the physical world that we live in. I'm not talking about our own individual experiences as a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm talking about the foundation of this world as it is now. It is very corrupt, but it's still our home for now. And I'm of a belief that we should try to shift and change it as much as possible. But there's so many people who are really on the darker side of the spectrum. And when I say on the darker side of the spectrum, I'm not talking about melanin, I'm not talking about dark magic, I'm not talking about dark matter. Because a lot of times people collude those things together and they should not be put together. Dark magic is not necessarily bad. Dark magic is where you find the light. But people are not, they don't understand that. And that's a little bit, whatever. I'm talking about people who are doing sinister things to other people to try to stop their progression, to try to stop their spiritual growth, to try to hinder them, to try to stop their prosperity, to try to stop them from doing whatever it is that they need to do to progress to the next level. And oftentimes we want to blame, you know, the so called elites who are at the top. But how about it's that person that lives next door to you? How about it's your neighbor that lives across the street from you? How about it's people right here on YouTube who are fucking hating, throwing energy at you? How about that? My overall view of Caucasians have been that they are racist and that they are evil. Most of them. That's been my overall view based upon what the world has shown me about them and what their actions have shown me about them throughout history. You feel what I'm saying? And those are valid reasons to have a mistrust of that culture. But au contraire, while I may have suspicions And while I may have reservations about them, it's not because I hate them. It's not because I want to see harm come to them. That's not what this is about. I've been really taking in a lot of energy, and I've been really looking with my spirit eyes. Not just the third eye, but all of my spirit eyes. We got more than one. I've been really looking at this. And this is not to put them in a position of being, innocent or angels, or putting them in a position where they're better than black people. Of course not. But this is just pointing out some things. And this all goes back to doing inner work and really coming into your own revelations and understanding of spirit and not carnality and flesh. Because this world is also run on carnality and flesh, which blinds you from looking at things from the spiritual perspective, because the spiritual perspective is going to give you a broader bird's eye view. The carnal perspective is going to give you a limited view of what's going on. And I have been looking at things from a carnal perspective based upon emotion when it comes to these situations. Let me say this as a disclaimer: this does not discount the atrocious things that some Caucasians have done and continue to do. This does not discount their terrorism against black people historically. I'm not discounting any of that. But I do have some questions. I do have some questions. And I have some revelations that have been shown to me. When I go back in my childhood, I had a teacher at Tacoma Elementary School. Her name is Miss Norrell, Faith Norrell. Now, I was a little boy at the time. I didn't know. I didn't care anything about, I have to go back to my childlike mind, so I can really understand the innocence that I was in. Because, see, once you understand that innocence, then you can see things clearly. You feel what I'm saying? Now, my teacher, Miss Norrell, her name is Faith Norrell. I'll never forget it. She was one of the kindest, one of the nicest people that I ever known. She was sweet to me. She was nice to me. She would always say, "Give me some sugar. Give me some sugar," you know, and I'll give her a kiss on the cheek. She was always nice to me. I was I was probably around maybe 5 at the time. This was kindergarten, if I'm not mistaken. First grade, kindergarten, I think around 5, maybe around 5. Yeah, maybe about 5. Maybe about 5. She was very nice to me. But then when I moved up the ladder to go to the higher grades, just like in life, things got a little bit more difficult. Then I started getting black teachers. They weren't so nice. Hmm, they weren't so nice. They were nasty, they were impatient, and they really did not care about educating you. And when I moved up to Miss Harris's class, she was a mean, nasty older lady. She was mean and nasty. She was a black lady, but she was mean and nasty. She definitely was not Miss Norrell. But at the end of the day, I still love Miss Harris too. I still loved her too. It's no hatred or anything like that. But I'm just painting a picture for you so you can understand where I'm coming from. Then as you get out of elementary school, you go into junior high school, you know. Then after you get out of junior high school, you go into high school. And then you really start having real experiences that start to shape you. Most of the black people that I ran across in high school, they were horrible people. They were horrible people. They were hateful. They were evil. They were sinister. The men and the women. And these weren't teachers, these were students. And I'm sure that type of evil does not change. I'm sure they're exactly the same way. They were spreading rumors about me. I didn't fuck with nobody. They were spreading rumors about me that I was gay when I had not even had any type of sexual intercourse with a man or a woman at that time, all because I was quiet and I stayed to myself. These were black people doing this type of shit. But we live in this bubble where we are told that black people are innocent, that black people do no wrong. We're supposed to call you brother and sister, even though everything you do goes against calling a black person brother or sister, right? Nothing that you do represents brotherhood or sisterhood, right? But we're supposed to keep calling you brother and sister when you don't act like a brother or sister. And I know what people are going to say, well, they were teenagers. You know right from wrong, myself included. You know right from wrong by the time you reach a certain age. Okay? You know right from wrong. I've never wanted to bully people. I've never wanted to harass people. That's something that I just don't get anything out of. But you know, black people like doing that type of shit to other black people. They like being bullies. They like tearing other black people down. But we're supposed to ignore that because we've been conditioned and manipulated by society to say, oh, that's okay that black people do that to each other. That's okay. It's nothing wrong with that. And then it takes me back to the quantum realm. And it really makes you wonder what is really influencing these types of black people and what is influencing these types of white people who actually are racist. Because I'm going to be honest with you, when I look at the energy that's influencing the blacks and the whites, the energy is not that much different. It's really the same. It's not of a human nature. It doesn't come from a place of humanity. It doesn't come from a place of spirit. It comes from a place of jealousy, ego, maliciousness, everything that makes up the recipe for that Christian God that they worship in that Bible. They act just like it. So, what I've had to do is, I've had to really reevaluate what we're really dealing with. And Even in that Bible, it talks about how we're not dealing with flesh and blood. We're dealing with principalities. We're dealing with spiritual wickedness in high places. But it's really not a high place. It's in a low place. Because I heard some shit, not long ago, that in actuality, it was Jesus in the Garden of Eden that was influencing Eve not to eat off the, not to, I'm sorry, influencing Eve, Adam and Eve, to eat off of the tree of knowledge. That these are hidden scriptures and hidden books of the Bible that talk about these things. They give you the real, excuse me, they give you the real story. If you're a Christian, you shouldn't be following me any motherfucking way. So if it offends you, it fucking offends you. I don't give a fuck. But what I realized is that most of the people that I went to school with, let me back up for a minute. Most of the people that I went to school with, most of them were Christians. I was brought up in Christianity. But see, I was brought up in the Methodist church, which is more highfalutin, uppity, boule rich type. So I didn't, I wasn't a jealous person. I ate good. I had I pretty much had a beautiful life coming up for a child for a period of time. So I really didn't have a reason to bully and be angry and bitter like a lot of black people are. I didn't have that. I didn't have that spirit. And what they would try to do is they would try to attach to me because they couldn't understand how can he be so untouched? Because that's how the motherfucking universe made me. I'm untouchable. And when I say I'm untouchable, I don't mean that in a egotistical way where I'm the baddest person. No, I don't mean it that way. I mean that I can live my life the way that I live it, go through things and still come out unscathed. And that is what people don't like about you or me. That's what they don't like. So when I go back to all of the experiences that I've had, black people are influenced by that same quantum energy that racist white people are influenced by. At least these particular black people that I'm talking about. And it's not a small percentage. And I don't give a fuck who gets mad. I don't give a fuck who gets mad. It's time we started speaking truth. What is influencing these people? And I'm not asking a literal question. I don't need nobody to answer it. I'm asking rhetorically because I know what's influencing them, but I'm not going to get into that. So when I think about racist white people and I compare them to white people who are not racist, who actually do get it, when I compare the two, the ones that are racist, they are possessed by a certain quantum field of energies. Let me just say it that way. They're influenced by a totally different quantum energy or quantum entanglement. They're influenced by something totally different. The black people who are backed up by that same energy, they're influenced by that same quantum entanglement. They're entangled with those types of white people. The white people that are not racist, they're not part of that energy. They're not part of that energy. And that is how I can sometimes look at some white people and I can go, okay, I feel safe with you. You're okay. Because I don't sense those same, let's just say, spirits coming from them, or rather, demons coming from them. I don't sense those same demons. And I'm not talking about the demons that you have read about. There are demons that you all have never even heard of, that you wouldn't be able to comprehend. Okay? So when I examine all of this, I'm like, well, wait a minute. We've been told that black people are innocent. No, they're not. Some of them are aligned within that same energy. That is why it is so easy for some of these black men to do the things that they do. That is why they don't have any compassion. That is why they don't have any love and no insight, because they are of another quantum dimension. They're being influenced by another quantum energy or another quantum entanglement. They are not part of this entanglement that we're in. So when people say all black people are the same, no, the fuck we're not. No, we're not. We're not all part of the same soul tribe. We're not. I was listening to someone on YouTube and she went to Nigeria and she was saying how the black people over in Nigeria are so cool and how the children over there are totally different than the children over here in America, the black children over here in America, and how the children over there in Nigeria are much more respectful and they're more disciplined and they receive more discipline than the children over here in America. That's a totally different quantum entanglement, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. We all are in a different quadrant of quantum influence. You feel what I'm saying? So, what I'm saying in totality is this: I had to really look at things from a totally different perspective and say, well, wait a minute. That's not just a white person. You can't, no, that's not just a white person. That's not just a black person. What is influencing them on a spiritual quantum level? What type of energies are influencing them? What's backing them up? Why are they doing the things that they do? See, those are my questions. Because that's what occultism is. We try to understand hidden knowledge. And I don't need a book, I don't need a crystal ball. I have the insight and the knowledge and the wisdom to understand what I'm dealing with. So it would make sense. It would make sense that Christ was the spirit in the Garden of Eden, influencing Eve and Adam to eat off of the tree of knowledge. See, that's the story that they don't tell us. Because Christ did not come from the God in the Bible, from what I'm understanding. Christ came from a higher deity or a higher God of a higher consciousness, not the God in the Bible, not that malicious, jealous, wrathful, evil deity in the Bible that so many people have been worshiping. And then you wonder why your lives are in shambles now. Even if you do have motherfucking money, your motherfucking lives are still in shambles because most of them motherfuckers don't have no peace in them. I said it and I ain't taking it back. Because you entered into a not a blood sacrifice, you entered into a blood contract with a deity that has no conscience, that doesn't give a fuck about you. And I'm only speaking in symbology, but you get what I'm saying. I've always said that Christ was at war with the Father because in actuality, Christ's energy is feminine energy. Christ and Lilith are really the same person, but people ain't ready for that information. Because Lilith was a bad motherfucking woman. And she rebelled against what was. But Christ comes from a totally different quantum quadrant. And that's the same thing with certain white people and certain black people. That's why we can't get caught up in the mass hysteria of the times, the illusions and the deceptions of the times. Because all black people, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And it's the same thing with white people when it comes to them and their fellow ethnicity. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. And white racists, they come from a totally different quantum, let's just say from a totally different quantum energy. They follow a different system of quantum energies. And the black people who align themselves with that type of energy follow that same type of quantum energy. And it's different from black people like me and black people like you. So when you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs, wondering why certain black people are so evil and so malicious and so racist and so nasty towards other black people, that's because they are operating in a totally different quantum quadrant. They're up under a totally different quantum energy. And a lot of times it intertwines with racist white people, which is an unhuman type of energy. And you look at these people every day in Hollywood. You look at a lot of these black people every day in Hollywood. Your Oprah Winfrey's, your Bill Cosby's, and I don't give a fuck who gets mad. A lot of these black celebrities that you look up to, that I looked up to, they ain't shit. One thing I will give Bill Cosby, at least he did give to, I guess, the black colleges and black schools and stuff like that. I will give him that. But he's part of that. I guess you can say a better name for these types of black people, as some people call them, are archons. And that is high up in the levels of masonry and the Masonic um, system, I guess you can say. Because we all know they're connected to Masonic temples and the Masonic system, where they have the records of the truth about life, death, creation. They have the records of all that. That is why they don't like witches and warlocks and stuff, because witches and warlocks go are more like rebels and go beyond what they tell us to believe. Witches and warlocks go beyond that and rebel against what they feed us. That's why they don't like witches and warlocks, and that's why they have witch hunts and stuff like that. They don't want you getting too much knowledge. Because when you really break down what a witch is a wise woman, and they don't want no woman being wise. They don't even want men being wise, because men that are wise, they listen to the wisdom of the woman, especially when the wisdom is pure and coming from a good place. So, no, just because you're black doesn't make you innocent. And just because you're white doesn't necessarily make you guilty. It's just that we have been, bombarded with certain imagery and certain factors and certain agendas to make us think a certain way. There have been atrocities that have happened to innocent black people at the hands of racist, vile, savage, terroristic whites. And that has been the narrative. But nobody has examined the quantum energies that are influencing these people. And that's what I'm doing. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. Where are they at now? They were supposed to be helping black people. But that's right, they stole all the money. They sucked up all of black people's energy, betrayed the black community, and stole all the money. And then people got mad because white people were saying that it was a scam. Just, so are we supposed to ignore the shit that black people do to each other every day? Are we supposed to ignore that? As spiritualists and occultists, are we real spiritualists and occultists? Not all this bullshit that, oh, everything is so perfect in the quantum and everybody. No, 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 no. No, it's not. Everything has a duality to it. Everything has duality to it. Everything has duality. Everything has negative, positive. It may be all how you look at it, but everything has a duality to it. And everything is not positive within the quantum reality or the quantum realm or the quantum digital steps that people may follow. It's up to you to transmute that negative energy if you can. But most people just remain in there in what they know, which is being nasty, malicious, evil, and sinister, and causing havoc wherever they go. That's just like people have said, not said, but people have talked about, all of this, and I want to have a real conversation about this. And I've been thinking about this too. We keep being bombarded with imagery, audio, verbal, unseen manipulation about aliens and beings from outer space, right? I mean, this has been going on since the 1950s probably. And I've come to the conclusion that all of that bullshit is on cap. And I'm going to tell you why. I think that this stuff about aliens is one of the biggest distractions in human history. The Pleiades, the little green men, the grays, this race of aliens, that race of aliens. Has anyone ever considered, has anyone ever considered this? Has anyone ever considered that we are the aliens? I'm talking about as black people. Has anyone ever considered that we are the aliens and maybe that's why they hate us so much? Has anyone ever considered that the different various races of aliens that we have been told exist, or even the ones in the movies like Alien and Predator, have we ever considered that these are just different levels and stages of our DNA that existed at one time when we were in different lives here on Earth and maybe even on other planets? And what they've done is because they understand our genetics more than we do, they've made movies out of them called Alien and Predator. They've made up stories about Roswell and little green men. How come whenever they talk about aliens, you never, ever actually get to see the proof that they exist? How come you never, ever get to see the proof that they exist? How about it's all an illusion and deception because they don't want us to tap into our real power within our genetics and our DNA? So they tell us that these things exist so we can focus on that instead of focusing on our own spiritual development and spiritual evolution. Because in fact, what if we are the real aliens? And not just as black people, but I'm just saying black people for a reason. Because I've heard that black people are the real aliens, that we have cosmic origins. And that's what they're really trying to hide. So they put this fear mongering stuff on it, or they make things up like the little green men of Roswell, New Mexico. We all know that all of that bullshit was on cap. They've even said that for example, there's shit coming out now that has been coming out for a long time that they have not even been to the moon. that was all a fucking hoax. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, I'm not saying it's true, I'm not saying it's not, so don't come at me with no bullshit. I'm just saying, for the sake of argument, if they lied about going to the motherfucking moon, why is it so far-fetched to believe that they've lied about the aliens as well? If they lied about going to the moon, because I remember a relative of mine, my Aunt Betty, she's deceased and gone now. She told me that she thought it was bullshit when she saw it when she was a child. That was a decade before I was born. And if they've been to the moon, how come they haven't been back? If they've been to the moon, how come they haven't been to other planets? You mean to tell me that in 1969, with the technological advances that we have now versus 1969, over 50 years ago, you mean to tell me you can't get back to the moon now? Of course, they will give you some fake scientific reason, but that doesn't satisfy me because I understand that science is on bullshit and cap too for the most part. Not saying that all of it is, but for the most part it is, because science covers up the truth. Science covers up the truth about spirit. They use science to mask things about the spirit. They'll tell you, oh no, that's scientific. Oh no, this is just a material world. And you're a material girl. We are living in a material world and I'm a material girl. Bullshit. You mean to tell me that you can't go back to the moon? So if they lied about that, because information is coming out that the same place in Roswell, New Mexico, where they claim the aliens crashed, that they have a military base there, where they actually have the stage where the fake moon landing was orchestrated for the American people. So if they lied about that, what makes you think they wouldn't lie about aliens and the real understanding and origin of aliens? Is that why they killed Marilyn Monroe and JFK? Because they were ready to tell the truth about how the United States government or the powers that be, maybe not even the United States government, but the shadow governments and the elites, how they make up stories and lies to try to cause panic among the population and to try to distract the population from what they're really doing. Then you have all of these billionaires and trillionaires trying to go to other planets. Are they really going to other planets, or is that just what they want us to think because they want us to deify them? They want us to look at Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos as gods. Now, I don't take nothing away from their accomplishments. I'm not no hater. You know what I'm saying? I don't have nothing against rich people. Ain't nothing wrong with living good and having a lot of money. It's nothing wrong with that. But when you do that at the expense of other people's lives, when you do that at the expense of other people's consciousness, that is the problem. And see, that is what Jesus was against. When you really read the Bible and really understand it. If they lied about all of these things, why is it far-fetched to believe that they're lying about these aliens and all this other stuff that they tell us about? What if aliens is just part of our genetics and DNA that they don't understand? What if we are the aliens? I'm just asking a question. What if we have alien DNA within us? And that's what they're really studying. What if that is the real reason for a lot of these distractions? They're studying us. And while they're studying us, they're putting out false propaganda to keep us all on edge, in fear. And I know that there are people out there who claim they've channeled aliens from other dimensions and stuff like that, and I'm not discounting that. But what if you're just channeling a part of your ancient DNA that existed a long time ago? What if that's what you're channeling? How do you know it's even an alien that you're channeling? What if all of these stories that we've heard of the Anunnaki and Inky and Unky and Bunky and all these other, mythological creatures that we've heard of in the ancient Sumerian texts of Gilgamesh and all these other things, what if all of that was us at one time and that's what they really don't want us to know? What if that was part of our past lives? Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm trying to say it without saying it. I've seen some things. I have seen some things. I don't even think that the pyramids that they show us now, I don't even think that those pyramids are the real pyramids. I'm not saying that they're fake pyramids, but I think there are more ancient pyramids that are underground, that are bigger. I've seen some things in my spiritual channels that have made me ask questions. And I'm not going to back away from asking questions just because somebody may get offended because of it. Because motherfuckers on YouTube, they always got something to fucking say. This is my motherfucking spiritual journey. And if you don't fucking like it, don't fucking watch. I'm just asking questions. I've seen some things. And one of the things that I've seen are pyramids that are so big in my spiritual channels that they're endless and they never end, with all of these hieroglyphs on them. And I've seen them time and time again in different meditations that I've done. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I'm just asking, some questions. No offense to anybody who really rocks with me, but if you really don't, then I hope I did offend you and trigger you because maybe it will get you to think too, you know? Anyway, this is your host, The Occult View, signing off. Thank you.